All
if
right,
it can
traders,
pop that resistance,
today
then I would
is
say it's got, you know, if it can
May
pop
2nd,
this, I
2025.
would
Want to
put
let
it
everybody know out there, Cyberland,
maybe a target
Digiland,
somewhere in
Podcast
here
Land,
in that
we
gap
have an
to
open
the upside.
house, Cinco de Mayo, 5th of
If it
May,
can
on a
pop that
Monday
resistance,
when you come back from the weekend,
she's got some
starting
work to do,
at
Viv.
8 a.m., lasting till 4. Little crash course in day trading at 10 o'clock, maybe earlier,
Vertical
maybe
spread,
later.
yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right.
Um,
You can get
Open
registered
spread,
for
that
that
would
in the
make some
link
sense
in the
here. Hoping for that
description.
little bit of a lift to the
And
upside.
you're all invited. Invite your friends. Hope to see you there. Just get registered and come on over and see
You're
how
going to
we
be on the
make
put
money
side, Liv.
every single day in the BYOB
A
Trading Room.
bullish
All
put
right,
spread
so come check
is
us
what
out.
you want to be
all right,
looking for.
you might find it interesting. You might learn something new. We'll see what happens here. All right, let's take a look in the markets today. And we got SPY. Let's take a look at SPY. We'll look at it
Go to the
on a clean
Junes.
chart with 10-minute. All right, so let's take a look at
I
the
would probably
10-minute
be
chart on
somewhere in
SPY.
here
Got a 10-minute downtrend
for my
coming
short
into
strike.
the close right
you don't
here.
have the best of open interest
10-minute
in there.
downtrend.
105,
2-hour
100s.
chart. We got a 10-minute downtrend because the 3 is underneath the 8 right there into the close. We'll see. They could reverse it before we end our video. All right. On the 2-hour chart, we have a 2-hour uptrend.
This would be your short.
All right. Over 2-hour uptrend right there. Let's get a clean chart. 2-hour uptrend. See the price candles?
On 1100.
And the yellow 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA, up over the rising 17 EMA. We got a 2-hour uptrend. You know what I like about the 2-hour uptrend?
So
is
something
I can look
like
in
that
there,
you'd be looking for.
and I hope to find a 10-minute
and then you just want that to stay
there,
moving up and
I can
push on
make
through.
a lot of money
I
with
would
a
have
10-minute
a
uptrend
stop
inside a 2-hour uptrend.
underneath that big
all right?
white candle there.
Just want to let you know that's what I like to measure
right
is that
there.
2-hour uptrend on the
Gotta
VZO.
get under that tail.
All right, on the 2-hour, let's just take a look at it. VZO
Probably
is hot.
do like 109 or just a little bit less than that.
It's looking good. See that?
Yeah, I'd probably go a little bit less.
That's a lot different than over here. Money is being injected into the markets these past
Something
3-4
like
days.
that.
See that VZO?
For your stop?
It's the volume zone oscillator. All right, so VZO, you can see multiple days up over 50. All right. Capital is.
If you want to go longer term, that's fine because the open interest here is very light.
Let's go take a look at the daily chart.
If you want to go longer,
you saw that on the 2-hour.
just remember you're going to have a longer waiting period. On that trade. You'll probably be able to get further away though and get more premium for it if you're willing to wait. You could potentially look at maybe doing.
All right, I'm back. All right, on the
like
daily candle, we got a higher low and a higher high closing over. Bullish trap.
Nice
that's the 3 EMA again over the 8.
Area.
Same thing. Doesn't matter if you're on the 2-hour chart or the 10-minute chart.
$90s. $1.67
all right,
credit.
It's the 2 over the 8. Okay.
$1,800 margin.
3 over
terrible.
the 8. All right, so we see we're getting a nice little rip over, back up over there. We'll see how high we get with that.
If you go up here to 85s, maybe on Monday this would improve, but those bid-ask spreads.
Every little dip today got bought up. See the dip got bought up. This is a 10-minute chart. See the little bullish engulfing right there. Okay, a little pullback here, turned into a tail.
Something like that might work for a ratio.
Tail.
If you
this
have
is turning
interest
into
in
a bullish engulfing.
Gives you, and this would have higher
and
probability.
they are holding the higher ground.
Our short
That's
strike,
a bullish
and
environment.
100,
Okay,
it's only
up over
17
VWAP.
deltas, which means you've got about
VWAP
an 80%
represents
probability
like
on this
the
trade.
average price. That's what price should be selling for. All right. Okay, if you take all the shares that traded today,
if you've got
that's
comfort
the
with
average
that,
of what it sold for today.
Not saying you,
and you look
should,
at
or
all
that
these
you even
candles,
like it.
they are all up.
You may not like
and
ratios at all.
Most of them are
That's
all
okay
up
too.
and away from VWAP.
But you can see this trade
kind of signaling that price action
78% right now probability
is
of that trade winning.
People are accumulating this. All right, so money is being injected into the markets. So there's SPY on the 10-minute. Maybe we get a 10-minute uptrend into the close. We'll find out. Got a little trade going on right here. Let me see if I can just remove some of my risk real quick.
I wouldn't put that past them, Glenn.
Yeah, just want to take out 10 of those.
China, in a way, kind of subscribes to the same kind of thing as,
there we go.
As Russia.
All right.
Escalate to de-escalate.
All right. Let's go back to the charts. Okay, on the 2-day chart. All right, 2-day chart.
Let's
still
hope
no
that's not the
uptrend
case.
on the 2-day chart. We have to come all the way up here to take out that 2-day downtrend right there, all the way up there. On the 3-day chart, yeah, we have to go all the way back up to the highs.
Hey, awesome, Liv. Yeah.
To take out the 2-day chart.
Awesome.
We're in a downtrend on the 3-day and the 2-day and on the weekly. We're in a downtrend because we made lower lows. All right, now price is moving up currently.
You know,
right?
the Asian cultures,
moving up. It's not moving down, but it's in a downtrend.
They have to find a way
to save face. We made lower lows. See the low here and the low there. We made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. But currently, we're moving up. All right,
straight
so
out
that's nice.
Admit that they were wrong, and you'll never hear President.
All right, so there's SPY on the weekly, still in a downtrend.
Let's be honest.
On the monthly, we have not taken out this low.
Say that he was
wrong.
So
in other words, we have not made a lower low. So monthly is in an uptrend. Weekly is in a downtrend. 3-day is still in a downtrend.
Pushback he gets from his people.
2-day still in a downtrend. But the daily, we're making higher lows right here.
There's a lot of trouble.
And higher highs. See the high that came up over the 17? Well, we made a higher high. So that puts us into a daily uptrend.
Real estate situation
on the price action here. This is the high
have no confidence
and the low
in that.
right here. Price action is
down
up
all these
over.
Factories.
This purple line is the all-time high.
They know they've been doing wrong.
We're up over the all-time high.
I mean, you can't steal that much stuff for so long.
Okay, price is up over
that you're doing
the trap. Wrong. That's the 3 EMA over the 8. Up over the 17
their hands in the cookie jar,
EMA,
and they know they're
right
going to have to make some big changes.
And it looks like we broke a downtrend line. Shooting through there.
We'll see
so broke
if
the downtrend line.
really be able to fess up and do it.
And price is knocking on the door, darn near close to
because
being
the problem
in the
is much bigger
third.
than just the tariff situation.
I might give it to them. They're acting really bullish right now. Darn near close to being in the upper third.
And I know I probably sound really radical, but if it were me.
Okay, so they're knocking on the door of the bullish zone.
You want to put some real paint on them quick?
Third. All right, so price moves up.
You no longer
give it up,
have
that's
access
neutral.
to the US
price moves down.
Stock market.
You give it up, that's neutral.
All of your stocks get delisted.
So we're not quite in the low upper third. If they close at high of day, I'm going to give it to them. All right, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, so you move down, you give it up. That's
you're
neutral.
Going to go through a brand new process to get them relisted, bullish, and you're going to follow.
If you're in the lower third, that's bearish. So SPY on the daily chart, still in the neutral zone, but nice 3-day, 4-day hold over the all-time high anchored VWAP, rewarded with a nice breakout on the following 2 days there, there on SPY on the daily chart.
We could play some pretty hard ball.
Let's go take a look at the game plan. All right, and
we have allowed them to buy property in the United States. We are not allowed. No one is allowed. No U.S. citizens allowed to even own. Actually own.
I got them set up for Monday. Anyways, let's. You know what? Let's just do this.
You cannot own land in China.
Come on up here. All right, because I posted the game plan for the room. We'll come up
we got to have.
And we'll snag the game plan out of this area right here. Okay, we'll snag that game plan out of here. And green erases red. SPY game plan right here. All right, so the SPY game plan was price over, pivot was 561. So price over 562.50 was my bullish green erases red entry. All right, 561 was the pivot. Above the pivot, I'm a bull. Below the pivot, I'm a bear. Okay, bullish green erases red was over 562.50. So let's see if we were able to trade that today. All right, so you can see here's the pre-market. All right, and here's our first opening candles. Opened up at 565. So all we really needed was some green candles for a continuation of a 10-minute uptrend. All right, well, a green erases red. And you can see we didn't get any at the beginning. And then we got green erases red right up over this area right through here.
I don't know much about Atkins himself. You say Atkins
let me draw that in for you
corrupt.
so you can see it. All right, let's get the red. Get the box. Okay, so here's the red right here.
He's the new person.
That pullback down to this low.
Appointed by Trump.
Okay, and now you can see green erases red. All right.
He's gone.
Price
Nancy.
all the way up through it, all the way up to these highs
He's
up
gone.
here. So where was the candle for the entry? Well, right over the top of the bodies of those candles right there. So my entry was...
Oh, yeah.
Right
yeah, he
here.
was absolutely horrible. And he was absolutely corrupt.
Right through there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so there's our entry. And we had to hold that until we got the breakout to the upside, right up there. Nice to see price go up and hold the higher ground. That's a bullish environment.
So,
consolidation
we'll
over prior consolidation, also a bullish
order
environment.
I just don't know.
Price gapping up, all right, and the bears being unable to fill the gap.
It's a tough time, when you let a country run roughshod.
Okay, so we have a lot of bullish environments happening. All right,
it's going to be really hard
which
to change.
Gave us the courage to play those 10-minute uptrends.
It's just going to be really
over
hard to
BYOB. Trying to take this stuff out of the way.
Just the way it is. There's going to be some pain.
All right, so there was the game plan. SPY worked out great. Today was a great day.
Dow,
okay, so we traded that 10-minute
nice
uptrend
move here.
over
We
VWAP.
did pull back.
It's a little shaky, not as smooth as some of the other 10-minute uptrends, but we made some money.
Dow
I did pretty good.
563, puts the diamonds up
$5,000 here.
556.
All right, so I traded the 580 calls, 14 days till expiration. Made $14 there
on the SPY.
575 calls. Okay. 7 days till expiration.
Ended up 715.
Made $962 there.
443
here. Okay, I'm holding some of those
actually
into
a really nice move
next
on
week.
IWM.
You can see I got 15 for next week. Traded some 570 calls 3 days till expiration.
I think
made
a little softness
$77 on those.
The NASDAQ would help that
on
a
Monday
bunch,
at
but crossing back
4:30.
above
I
its
got
50,
12 of those
slammed
for
right
next
into its
week.
500-day. But let's see if
I
that
traded
can hold
some.
in there.
Well, I had these from yesterday. All right, they were 0 DTEs and 564 calls, and I lost $255
crypto,
on those.
They didn't like him.
As
and
the option price just didn't get up there fast enough.
There was a lot of things he was doing that
didn't
was
want to lose any more money than that, so I just took the small loss in case. I saw price pulling back early this morning. You can see here's the price pullback right there. I didn't want to lose
so
it.
It has been a wild
I took a small loss
week.
on those.
And
hopefully
and next week won't be
just
quite
like
so
24K
crazy.
on
We do have
570
the FOMC
calls,
on
0
Wednesday
DTE,
that we'll be making
early
the
in
decision.
the morning
We
there.
know
Traded those to
that
the
can
upside.
create some volatility.
That's it. So it's not a bad day
You
for
can see
BYOB.
kind of a
A
stale
lot of people
market
made some daily goals
heading
on
in
the
sometimes
breakouts.
to the
Okay,
FOMC.
so congratulations to everybody
then,
in the room that
anything
made their
is
daily
possible
goals
out of the
today. There was a
FOMC.
lot of cheering going on for
but not
everybody that
major,
did make daily goals.
major news
So way
announcements
to go,
during the
traders.
week. Just
I want to thank all the traders that subscribe to the BYOB services.
As we go throughout
they
the
are
week.
paying members
So
of
be prepared for
BYOB
more
service,
volatility from that.
and I don't take that for granted.
Anything is possible. We are extremely extended in the short term.
I hope to provide value.
Let's go to
their subscription every single day with actionable
S&P
trades
500
that provide profits
1, 2, 3,
every single
4,
day.
5, 6, 7, 8,
That's
9,
my goal
10
every
days.
single day. I'm not a teacher, but
From
I am
low to
playing the
today.
role of a teacher. Thank you to Peter. Thank you for your
S&P
subscription.
500
All right,
has
so a lot of
rallied
people make some daily goals,
594
and that
points.
makes me happy.
Almost
because
12%.
I can make profits, but the point is,
that's a
can
remarkable
you make profits?
rally.
Can I get you
The Dow is
to
just
the point
absolutely
where you're making
ridiculous over the
profits?
same
That's what
period of time.
BYOB trading is all
pullback
about.
is
Can
so
I get you
likely.
to the point where you can consistently
hitting the
make
50
profits
here,
and know what to look for?
Let's go to the
Understand
Dow.
what the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP really is.
It's always easier
Know
to do
when
it
it's
here.
good to take it, know when it's bad to take it. Where is support? Where is resistance? That's what I hope
3,454
to
points
educate you
in
so
10
that you
days.
can make profits just like I do. All right? So
just plan on
that's
we're
the goal
probably
every
closer
single
to a
day.
pullback
Again,
or a
I'm not a
consolidation in the
success
market than
unless
we are
you guys
a
are a
continued
success.
stretch to the upside.
All right, so enough about that. All right, let's go take a look at the market real quick.
221.22
Let's wrap this up, okay? So
is
let's
giving
come
us
on
that
over here
clue
to
that we are
QQQ.
very stretched up here. We're at 96 and a half.
QQQ. And it looks like we got maybe a lower low, not sure.
All right, guys, have
Low
yourself
here
a
is
wonderful
480.74.
weekend. Thanks
The
a
low
bunch
here
for
is
being here. I really appreciate it.
481.08. Okay, so higher high, higher low.
Going to be a busy
Closing
week,
over
so
a bullish
rest up.
Trap. Okay, over the 17
And
EMA.
enjoy
That's
the
bullish
weekend,
environment.
Nancy. Enjoy those
Price
grandkids.
action.
Have a
You
great
can see
time.
right here. I guess they filled their gap. No, they
Bill
came
S.,
close.
I hope you're feeling better.
All right,
Hope
I
you
guess
have a
maybe
great
they filled the
weekend
gap. Maybe on QQQ.
with that
SPY did not
challenge
fill the
that you
gap.
had this week.
Closing up over the rising,
Everyone
the
else,
hooking 17 EMA, up over the all-time
hope
high
it's
anchored
awesome.
VWAP. You can see you've
Take
got
care.
a four-candle
see
hold
you
here over
Monday
the
morning,
all-time
bright
high anchored
and
VWAP, and of course, you're
How about a
rewarded
little
with a
Sweet
breakout.
Home Alabama?
All right, like I say, a lot of
to end-
times watch
end
for
our
that
week.
four-candle
Here comes Sweet Home
hold
Alabama.
over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Get ready because you're probably going to get a breakout. All right, so there's QQQ on the daily chart. QQQ still QQQ is in an uptrend. All right, because they made a higher low and they made a higher high and they made see this high that pokes through the 17. Well, they made a higher high than that. All right, so that's a higher high and a higher low. That puts them in an uptrend. They're also knocking on the door to the bullish upper third. All right, just like SPY. Nice news there to see QQQ ripping and rocking and rolling. Okay, on the weekly chart for QQQ, same deal. All right, still in a downtrend. Okay, because they took out that low and that low and that low. Oh, and that low right there. See how they made a lower low. So now we got to make a higher high. Well, the first high to come to is up here. That's over the 17. So they got to come all the way up here to take out that high to negate the downtrend. It's just the label. They're in a downtrend, but let me just say, they're not moving down. They're moving up. All right, so there's QQQ on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, just like SPY, they're also still in a monthly uptrend. All right, so just go back to QQQ on the daily chart, and you can see we're in the neutral zone, not the upper third, not the lower third, and we're in a daily uptrend, and we're over all-time high anchored VWAP. I find that to be very favorable and bullish environment. Whenever price is over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that shows me something's going on there. Okay, let's take a look at FNGA. FNGA, not over the all-time high anchored VWAP, okay, but close. All right, price action is, let me see here, I got to measure it, 421.11, 419.12. All right, so they have an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17 EMA, over the downtrend line, but under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint, can they transcend the midpoint? That'll be interesting. And the all-time high anchored VWAP. We'll find out. Making higher lows and higher highs, that's an uptrend, but still in the neutral zone, just like QQQ and SPY. So there's FNGA. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow makes, there's a high. They made a higher high. They're in an uptrend. They made a higher low and a higher high. They closed over the downtrend line. All right, they closed over the midpoint, but under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Price action, not in the upper third, not in the lower third, just neutral through there, okay? But not moving down, so moving up nicely, all right? So there's Diamond Dow transcending through the neutral zone. Hopefully they can get up to the bullish zone up here in the upper third, all right? So there's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. Finally. IWM right here, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. No longer in the lower third. They were bearish, okay? So they just slipped through the door threshold right there, okay? Up over the trap, over the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, in the neutral zone, but still in a downtrend, okay? They have to take out, see this high that came up over the 17? The 17 is these red dots. All right, that turn to green down here. When price gets up over those dots, they turn to green. When price is underneath it, they're red. All right, so we crossed over those dots right there. All right, now if they can take out that high, they'll negate the downtrend and convert the uptrend. All right, but still got a little ways to go. Price action's looking good. Daily chart, nice work for IWM. Let's take a look at a few technicals. T2122. Well, we spent the day in the overbought zone, darn near the high of the overbought zone. Nice work for the bulls today. Little rip down and then back up on the second here. Came into the buy zone for a micro minute and then back up to the overbought zone and just chomped away there all day. All right, nice work. T2123, 15-minute chart. As I was saying yesterday and this morning, we finally took out this high. I wanted to see a significant higher high, all right? Because other than that, it looked like a bear flag that was just going to break down, and it still might. But we're seeing here, right now, on the T2123, I'm seeing a lot of bullish gaps that aren't getting filled by the bears, all right? And another bullish gap not getting filled by the bears. And I'm seeing consolidation over prior consolidation. All right, and it's moving up nicely. It's getting a little tippy-toppy here. Maybe a pullback to the 200 and then a nice J hook off of there. That would be nice. T2123 over the 200, that's a bullish environment. Making higher highs, finally, that's a bullish environment. All right, consolidating over prior consolidation, that's a bullish environment. Okay, closing up near the high of the day at the end of the day, that is also a bullish environment. Up over the 200 SMA, also a bullish environment, if I didn't say it before. So we have a little mini bull flag inside of a bear flag, big bear flag right here. Okay, but guess what? Bull flag is flexing its muscles and making some higher highs. Question is, can they fill this bearish gap right here? See how close they came. Now they got a little bit more to go. If they just eat some spinach and some mustard, okay, they could get up there and fill this bearish gap right there. That'd be interesting. T2123. All right, that's the 15-minute chart. All right, on top of the flat 200 SMA right there. Let's take a look at 3-bar chart. You can see 3-bar chart. Again, same little mini bull flag inside of a bear flag right here. So we'll see. Notice how the dots turn from red to green. So we put in 3 more green candle bars today. Again, we took out that high. That was nice. I'd like to see us get right up to this gap up here and start filling it. That would be nice. That would be really nice, okay? Right there. Still caught underneath this falling 200 SMA. These are 2 prior all-time highs. This is the all-time high. You can see there's quite a bit of distance between price action and the falling 200. Still quite a bit of price distance between the two prior all-time highs and the current price action, and a whole lot of distance between the all-time high and the current price action. So a lot of work to be done, but it all starts. How do you eat an elephant? Hey, one bite at a time. That's what it looks like to me, taking one bite at a time, all right? So there's T2123. That's the 3-bar chart, trying to flex its muscles, that little bull flag, trying to flex right now. Let's see if they can keep this going, all right? FNGA, all right? Price action. Oh my gosh, look at this. More consolidation over prior consolidation. That's always a bullish environment. See that? Consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. So price, green from the beginning of the day, almost to the end of the day. And then we had, looked like they took an early weekend and started drinking early here. They were buying up until they started their early weekend. All right, but all in all, price stayed up on top of VWAP for the most part. Okay, so price action, and they're starting their Cinco de Mayo weekend early. All right, so price action up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment. Up over the hooking 200. That's a bullish environment. Up over the downtrend line. Also a bullish environment. All right, consolidating over prior consolidation, also a bullish environment. All right, and bears aren't filling any gaps, also a bullish environment. I gotta tell you, I wouldn't mind if they had a little pullback, made a higher low, maybe right on top of that 200, or maybe right on top of this all-time high anchored VWAP. Hopefully they can hold 3 or 4 days up here on top of the all-time high anchored VWAP, and then maybe we could see a nice little breakout. So that's a 15-minute chart of the FNGA. Now, let's go take a look at a few sectors. We'll start off with XLE. Here's our XLE. Let's take a look at that on the daily chart. Still in the bearish lower third. So that's still bearish down there, okay? In the lower third. Here's the quad lines. Each one of these quadrants represents 25%. Well, they're still in the lower third, so that makes them bearish. All right, so, and they're not even in an uptrend yet, okay? But if they take out that high up there, they could be in an uptrend taking out that high. All right, not too far to go if they want to do it, right? See the high that comes over the 17? Got a little pullback, making a higher low, and then should they rip up over that high, they'll have themselves an uptrend. And they'll probably break out of the lower third, putting them into neutral territory. But XLE currently bearish, currently in a downtrend. Okay, price action, you can see we're still stuck underneath all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. Underneath downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, and the midpoint, and the all-time high anchored VWAP in the lower third. Still bearish down here. All right, so there's XLEs. Take a look at USO. It's the U.S. Oil Fund. All right, not going to get any help. Not going to provide any help for the XLE doing this. Okay, got an inside day. It's a higher low and a lower high closing underneath. Bearish trap underneath the 17 EMA. See the red dots are falling. So underneath the 17 EMA. Down here, quadrant 1 is definitely bearish. In a downtrend, making lower highs. See the high, lower highs, and lower lows. See the low? Made a lower low. So downtrend and bearish. Okay? Well underneath this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. Okay? So not getting it done. Not getting it done this week anyways. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG also in a downtrend, but not moving down. All right. So price action for UNG. Got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap. Over the falling 17. Trying to chase down this downtrend line. Looking ready to challenge that. Up over that 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. No longer in the lower third. See down here, they were in the lower third. They were bearish. And they're in a downtrend. They're still in a downtrend. Okay, they got themselves in a downtrend because they took out this low right here. Okay, they made a lower low. So with lower highs, lower lows, that's a downtrend. And in order to negate the downtrend, they'd have to come all the way back up here and take out those highs that peak over the 17 EMA. Currently in a downtrend, but in the last 5 days, not moving down. So looking like a bear flag or a pullback in the downtrend. Still underneath the downtrend line. Still underneath. It's questionable. Right at the midpoint. I'll just call it at the midpoint. So just neutral right here. Currently just neutral. All right. And still in a downtrend. Still under the downtrend line. Still under, but over that 12-month high anchored VWAP. So not too bad for UNG. That's kind of helping. A little bit better than USO anyways. Let's take a look at precious metals, GLD. For GLD, we've got a higher low and a higher high, but we closed underneath the bearish trap, underneath the 17 EMA, underneath the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the all-time high right there about 10 days ago. Okay? In quadrant 4, if we back out, quadrant 1, 2, 3, up here, quadrant 4, that's bullish. They're in the upper third. Okay, over the uptrend line, over the midpoint. Okay, just in an uptrend, but pulling back right now. It's a nice little bull flag there. Maybe they can get another rip going. We'll see. So there's gold on the daily chart. Uptrend and bullish right there. Let's take a look at silver. Silver got an outside day, higher high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, underneath the 17. But on top of this, this is a 12-month high, that's 12-year high, and a 6-month high anchored VWAP right here. Okay, they're up over it still. Okay, notice again, they held for 3-4 days over VWAP, over that all-time high anchored VWAP. No, that was the 12-year high anchored VWAP. And they got rewarded with a breakout that got squashed. All right, so there's SLV. All right, currently SLV's in a downtrend because they took out that low. They took out that low. They took out that low. And they took out that low right there. All right, so in order to negate the downtrend that they're in because they made a lower low, they have to come all the way back up here and take out that high. But now that they've made a lower high, they could make a higher low and take out that high there, and that would negate the downtrend right there. If they could find some bullish price action, maybe bounce off this 6-month high anchored VWAP and take another stab back up here into the upper third, okay? So they're just neutral. They were bullish couple days ago. You can see all of this in the upper third. Now they're back into the neutral zone. They closed down here. So they're just neutral and still in a downtrend. There's silver. Let's take a look at, I just want to show you a few charts, okay? And you could have found those on right here. This is I print this every morning for social media if you guys see it. See, I starred these two, Rocket and 5. Okay, I starred them for a reason. All right, I starred them because I'll finish up here. Okay, so FIVE. All right, I starred them because they had a 5-day hold right here, and you got a nice rip today on the daily chart. See the breakout? It's a 5-day grinder hold, and I call it a grinder box. In other words, they come up, they hold the higher ground. 4 or 5 days, they grind away at overhead supply, all right, and then you get a rip. Then they finally create a hole and they break through, all right. So there's a nice little reward there that broke out from 76, clear up to, well, let's just say it closed at 84. That's a nice little run right there. I think that's an $8 pop, all right, on a $70 stock. Okay, that represents 10%. That's not a bad little flip right there. If you heard me say it on the 1st of May, keep an eye on this one. All right, the other one I said was RCKT. Okay, same thing. Okay, got a 5-day hold in a little grinder box. Got a little breakout here. All right, 1, 2, 3 right there. So that broke out over 743 up to, well, we'll just take where it closed today, 802. So that's a 50-cent move on a $7 on a $7.30 stock. All right, so there's RKT. So you see that I started, okay, because I just saw that when I was looking for these. All right, something to keep an eye on right there. Whenever I star one, keep an eye on it for a breakout. All right, so just wanted to show you those. All right, back to, we just did precious metals. Let's take a look at SMH. All right, SMH in an uptrend, making a higher low and a higher high. All right, closing in the neutral zone, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, still under this downtrend line right there, SMH on the daily chart, neutral, finally making a move, all right, like that. Let's take a look at Big Brother, XLK. This is Big Brother to the SMH, all right, it's technology sector. In an uptrend, because it's made a higher low and a higher high, still in the neutral zone though. If they can make it into that upper third, they could be bullish. Again, another 4-day hold over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look what you get. Nice little breakout. Okay, bing, bing. All right, XLK, that's technology sector. Okay, not quite bullish yet. It's getting there. Still in the neutral zone, and it's moving up. I like that. So it's in an uptrend right now. There's XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. All right, XLF. Whoa, look at this. See that? It closed in the quadrant 4. That's bullish. Again, hold for 5 days, 4 days, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. See, you get a breakout. See the hold here? You get a breakout. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to keep going up, but you get a breakout. You see what I'm saying? You get the breakout. It just got squashed, okay? But here we are. We come down, make a lower low, come back up, do it again, hold right here, and you get a breakout, okay? It doesn't happen all the time. I'm just saying watch for it, okay? Whenever they hold that higher ground, create that grinder box up there, that means they're going to chew away at overhead supply, and as soon as they get through, they're going to break through, and they got to break through into the bullish zone right up there. So there's XLF in an uptrend and bullish and up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Higher low, higher high, closing up over the bullish trap, over the 17 EMA. So there's XLF. Last one, IYT. All right, IYT. Finally got a breakout here after this little mini bull flag inside of a giant bear flag. Look at this. Little mini bull flag right here. And they finally get a breakout. Higher low, higher high. Closing, they were bearish this morning. All right. And today they're neutral. All right. This morning they were bearish because they were down here. I didn't see this candle. All right. This candle just formed today. All right. So price action's neutral. And price action, I don't know. That's a higher high. There's a high. Not quite the pullback that I'm looking for. I don't know if I can technically call that a higher high. You know what? I'm just going to keep them in that downtrend until they take out that high right there. Right there. And when they take out that high, that'll be an uptrend there. All right? They got to take out that high. All right? So currently, nice little breakout here. In the neutral zone, not quite in an uptrend yet. I don't know if I could give it to them. That's hardly a higher low right there. It's more like consolidation. That's the way I see it. All right, so there's IYT. Nice little breakout today. Underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Underneath the midpoint. All right, traders, that's it for me. All right. Again, everybody listening out there in podcast land. All right. In cyber land. Digital land. All right. Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May, on Monday, 8 o'clock until 4 p.m. All right? Got an open house. Come see how we make money. All right? We do it almost every day. We make money. All right? So come see us on Monday. Come hang out with us. and you can watch us make money. Maybe you learn something. All right. Until then, everybody have a safe and happy weekend. Thank you for being here. Thank you, traders in the room. Thank you for your subscriptions. Appreciate it, everybody.